I stand strong as a citizen of the League, free from the chains of all hegemony, giving my unfettered oath to respect and uphold the laws and liberties passed down by the Grand Council.
I'm sure we would all like to thank young Master Robert and Mistress Temperance for that moving rendition of the oath. Very stirring. Now back to your seats. If you would all open your books to page 124 and observe the section entitled The Bloody Avenues Agreement. Certainly one of the most pivotal moments in modern history, along with the formation of the League at the Cobblestone Tower of Merit and the ascension of Gruvold at Sparaxis, gentle are his mighty fists. In a moment you're going to read through pages 124 to 131 before answering in legible script what you believe was the reason for the capitulation of the Consociate Jacarius Taloshin. What do you have there, pray tell? Passing notes in class, are we? Perhaps we shall read it to everyone and see what was so unutterably vital for you to communicate you felt the need to disrespect my classroom. To Lucas, I cannot help but stare at the way the afternoon light shines upon your hair and across your broad shoulders. Yes. Well, perhaps if you could keep your poetry to Mr. Elton's class in future, that might be for the best.
Welcome to Mythtakes Happen. This is season 1 of a world-building podcast where two good friends talk about the partitioned city of Heliakon, a living, breathing world for you to game in, live in, and explore. I'm Chris, a Victorian teacher and writer.
He, of course, means from the state of Victoria, not from the Victorian era. Hi, I am Aaron, a professional game master from South Australia.
We will begin with Ready, Setting, Go, where we discuss significant aspects of the setting, followed by Fable Fodder, where each host has developed setting and story aspects of a fantasy world without the interference or knowledge of the other host.
After, we take a short break, imperceptible to you, the listener, through the magic of technology, and return with World War words, weaving together connections, linking our two halves together, and perhaps altering some fundamental aspect of one another's contributions.
No tears, my friend. We will ruin this world together. At the end, we move to jumping to conclusions, where we discuss the whys and hows of our whats.
Look in the episode description for follow-up materials, trigger warnings, and anything else that might matter. Supplementary aids will be linked here, including summaries of our work so far, alternate takes, and GM tips, all eventually culminating in a deliciously attractive PDF at the end of the season's run.
For a few episodes, you may hear us referring to the podcast using a different name, but this is a false memory implanted in your brain by the podcast industry. Pay it no heed. Before we begin, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of this great land.
Today we are somehow both recording on the land of the indigenous Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains.
And with that, we'll get started. Welcome to episode 10. Welcome to episode 10 of Mythtakes Happen, a world-building podcast where myself, Chris, and that guy, Aaron, we create wondrous worlds for use in role-playing games.
Oh, anywhere you damn well like, honestly.
Or you could just read it.
Yeah?
Like a nerd.
When you're making your own sort of setting for a novel or something like that, you could still use many of the same, virtually all the same principles that we're doing here.
Yeah, just make sure it's a good setting with lots of romance potential.
Like orcs.
Aaron, I want this on record. Would you fuck an orc?
If I had a personal and strong connection to that orc, yes.
You heard it right here, folks. Orc fucking. It's what we're about on Mythtakes Happen.
So we're also together in the same room once again in the Act Now Theatre.
And this is possibly not going to be a fish tank-like experience for the listener, I'm hoping.
Yeah, we're hoping we've got our act together now.
Act together now. Thank you, Act Now Theatre, for allowing us this space. Although we did pay for it, so really, perhaps Act Now Theatre should be thanking us.
Right.
Brilliant.
All right. So, shall we get into ready, setting, go.
We should get into ready, setting, go. Let's go into this setting.
Papa, may we have ready, setting, go?
No, son. We've got ready, setting, go at home.
Oh, yay!
So last episode we talked about propaganda.
Yes, we had a propaganda about propaganda.
Very nice, very well done. I appreciate that. You should see the expression on his face. He's so proud of himself.
I'm so proud. I hate puns. They are the lowest form of humour, and yet they are the only form of humour Aaron understands.
That is also true.
Yeah, so we had a chat about propaganda, and we came at it from very different angles. You came at it from like the sort of art perspective of how
Art and education.
art
yes.
and education, and how that can lead to different the way that a society sees itself.
Yes.
And I came at it from the small brain idea of having like a Ministry of Truth style.
But both are really important.
And if you're looking, I think I did make the point was it on the day or the next day, referencing something that happened in the real world that I don't want to reference here, and how blatant propaganda can really be in the real world.
I actually don't remember if we did that in episode. I hope we did, because it's a good reference. What I wanted to touch on in that episode was also just what forms of media are most appreciated within each of the two empires, that they are different in that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a really good discussion, actually. I quite enjoyed it. And listeners, if you have not listened to it, what are you doing? Why are you on episode 10? That's psychotic. Who would do that?
And listen to episode 9 and then come back. And you know what? Go right back to episode 1 and just listen through all through again.
Yeah, the only thing that matters in our dystopian world is clicks, and that is the only thing that will continue to matter for the next 100 years. So please click on these episodes 1,000 times.
Sometimes I just sit at my desk and I just click my mouse to feel good about myself.
Oh, that's really good.
Doesn't work all the time, but yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right, so that feels like a good ready, setting, go. Shall we just crack right on into our episode 10?
Yeah, let's go into episode 10. I think you're starting. I have a feeling you're starting
Yes,
this one.
I
Yeah.
suspect I am, yes.
Papa, may we have fable fodder?
No, son. We've got fable fodder at home.
Yay!
I want to do a bit of a look at a noble family in the Great Consociate.
Okay.
And I am still going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a bit of a hold-up because I then needed to sort of get straight in my mind about what the Great Consociate Nobility actually looked like in practice. We've been talking a great deal since, hell, even from our episode 0 when we started talking about the two empires, about there being this nobility within the Great Consociate and the Unfettered League not really having that. And we just sort of left it there. And it's fine. And we've mentioned a couple of different nobles since. But I felt like before I was going to do a deep dive on a noble family, I needed to talk about nobility. Now, those of you who are watching this in time may remember several months ago, Chris doing a lonesome Mythtake where he talked about where ideas come from.
Mythtake. I think you just said mistake.
It's very possible I did. That was a mistake I made.
That's upsetting.
Yes. And in that lonesome Mythtake, he talked about not going into too much detail. I might be breaking those rules now.
Well, rules are meant to be... Actually, no, rules are not meant to be... That's why they're rules.
That's right, yeah.
They make rules so you don't break them, so you follow them.
So this might be something that gets talked about during World War Words, that maybe we need to dial this back a bit. Or maybe it's just going to be really inspiring and cool. I don't know. I did not intend to write 1,000 words on the Great Consociate Nobility when I started this, but that's what I did.
Interesting. 1,000 words. That's not that many words, really.
No, but that is 2/3 of what we normally write for our episode. So I've just got one really big chunk and then a smaller chunk.
Okay, Aaron, please give me your chunk.
All right, here's my super big chunk. Consociate Nobility. There are 5 broad ranks within the Consociate Nobility. I'll briefly mention them here, and then I'll be going into exhaustive detail on them.
I like it. Go into the detail, please.
So our highest rank is the Kepi, the next is the Khedia, then the Voldi, the Zami, and the Pair. Now,
I like pears.
thank you. I don't mind pairs. I don't have any particular very likes them. Anyway, so the Great Consociate is very concerned with nobility in general. How that ties them to the grander past, shows a continuity of power, and thus their inherent right to that power and their superiority to commoners when it comes from that exercise of authority. If that sounds like a circular logic, yeah, that's because it is. would be best not to mention that particular fact loudly in a noble's presence because they don't like that sort of thing.
Why is that, Aaron?
Because they don't like their power being challenged. And they have the ability to execute you, or at least do very nasty things to you.
Well, that doesn't seem fair at all.
No, that's also sort of inherent within the whole nobility thing.
Oh, no.
Whilst the Consociate honours and uses the titles of nobles from other nations that they bring within their empire, they do assign them positions equivalent to the ones used in Lomara, which is theoretically the same titles used by the Old Concordate, with the exception of the roles of the Connacht and the Emperor at Rest, of course, which are modern inventions since Gruvold. Now, while the origins of the titles are from a time when nobles owned land by virtue of having enough troops so that fewer people would argue with them, and lesser nobles who would agree to their land rights in exchange for their own land rights of smaller parcels of land in a very traditional feudalistic system, by the time of the fall of the Concordate, they had long since become administrative titles. With all the land being owned by the state, today the Great Consociate is a patchwork of laws and traditions, with the state owning most of the land, with individuals, some titles, and local political bodies owning plots of land, both small and vast. It's complicated, and you'd better know that the big righteous Connachts are probably trying to bring it all in line, but that's difficult. Now, another crucial distinction between the individual ranks are whether the noble holds a position within the Great Consociate administration or military. Whilst there's technically no difference between the nobles of the same rank, one with authority and responsibility within the empire will receive more influence than one that does not. They also place the prefix "in" before their title to denote this crucial distinction.
Oh, okay.
So you might hold the rank of Khedia, but if you are a Khedia who is working as a judge or an administrator, you'd be in Khedia.
In Khedia. Okay.
All right. So the rank just beneath that of Connacht, and the tier of nobility from which Connachts are most commonly promoted, is the Kepi. If a large tract of land is owned by an individual, they're most certainly a Kepi, his highest rank. Most commonly, they handle the administration of an area, a large area, ruled by a pair of Connachts, like a former nation that's been conquered. Maybe they lead whole armies, command navies, manage a large and profitable industry across several connarchical domains. The lack of major warfare in the last quarter century has actually led to an excess of adult Kepis, causing some of them to take lower roles and a subsequent reduction in rank to do so.
Oh no, it's terrible for them.
Awful, yes. Now, this does sit poorly with both the Kepi because it causes dynastic problems, and with even lower ranks because now there's more jostling around. So that's a sort of consistent problem within the Great Consociate today.
Does it kind of dilute that rank a bit?
It thins it out. So actually, it does the opposite of dilution, but it dilutes the ranks below.
Ah, okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, of course.
And can cause problems there. But of course, a number of them hold that rank of Kepi. They just become wastrels and drains on the family finances, or they accept a sum and seek to leave fortune and adventure, despite their enviable education and training. These young Khedia often find just death. Now, I say Khedia, because the singular is Khetia, the plural is Khedia. And
Makes sense.
Consistent through all the various different ranks.
Oh, brilliant.
There'll be a little table in the supplementary material. And if you're not looking at the supplementary material, what again is wrong with you? I'm putting a lot of effort into that. Please look at the supplementary material if only for my...
Yeah, we make Aaron do it. I don't do any of it because I don't understand how layouts work, but Aaron does.
Yeah, but he also does all the social media stuff, and I would not wish that on anyone.
There are so many podcasters on social media, and some of them even talk to us, and that makes me feel happy.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's called positive feedback.
Yeah. All right, so there are a similar number of Khedia families, but there are more positions that are acceptable for them to take. They administer large cities or smaller ones and up to a dozen towns and villages surrounding it. They command companies of troops or flotillas of warships, oversee the taxation and administration of an industry within a domain. They also sit as the highest of judges within a domain, act as advisors and assistants to Khedia and Connachts. In fact, the Khedia are so associated with the last position that the trope of both the treacherous Khedia and the faithful Khedia are near ubiquitous in Consociate stories.
Oh, nice. Okay, interesting.
Sort of continuing on from last week's, or last month's, I should say. There are fewer Vodia nobles than any other rank, as many of their traditional roles are no longer relevant. During the era of the Concordate, a Vodia was most likely to be involved with one of the major religions or cults that were present at the time. either as a member of the clergy or a liaison between them and the secular administration. Since the Temple of the Gruvold is the state religion, has its own parallel hierarchy, and the protection of many laws against noble interference, the customary duties of a Vodia are just no longer required. Those that remain Vodia are almost exclusively associated with officiating and recording births, deaths, marriages, and maintaining the genealogical and heraldic records. So much so that the title has become synonymous with this work, even though there are a few who do find rank-appropriate work in liaising with some of the few approved religions within the Consociate, or live off the largesse of more fortunate relatives.
I like that a lot.
The working Jami can have wildly differing levels of autonomy. They might administer a town, a few surrounding smaller settlements. They might occupy a fort while protecting and maintaining a dozen villages or hamlets. Conversely, in a metropolis, they might administer just a single city district under a Khedia or a handful of related guilds under a kepi, oversee an important office of clerks, act as a lesser judge, or command several units of troops or a warship. They are very much a workhorse nobleman. But right at the bottom, you have the term pair, which is P-H-R.
P-E-H-R.
Yes, pair.
Okay.
The term pair refers to both the lowest rank of nobility and to the nobility as a whole, the peerage. Yes, I am taking that straight off the peerage, but
Yeah.
roll with me. Indeed, in formal usage, a noble's name will be their rank, then pair, to indicate that they are noble, then their given name. A noble of the humble pair rank, who doesn't have any other rank, is going to need to find work within the Consociate, as it is highly unlikely that their family has much excess wealth to support a layabout. Peria are found acting as village mayors and guardians, commanding troops as a sub-commander to a Jami, or assisting higher-ranked administrators with tasks too important for a commoner but too bothersome for that noble. Those Peria with military training and writing skills can also join the Conperia, which is an organisation that ferries important missives and small packages across the Great Consociate.
I really like that. That's really good, yeah.
And I'm still going.
Yeah, keep going, man. Like that's great. I think this is a good one because I think I have probably slightly less stuff today, so let's do it.
All right,
Yeah.
then we continue on. So, every noble is expected to maintain a certain level of dignity, appearance, education, and training, all of which requires wealth. Though few collect taxes directly from landowners, so taking a role within the Consociate administration allows for a generous stipend, access to the expected gratuities, bribes, and the opportunity to make valuable connections through which to make investments and business opportunities. A role that provides one with markedly more respect from the peerage and commoner alike, who would tend to assume a noble without a role is either lazy, unlikable, unlucky, or such a colossal screw-up even their familial connections couldn't protect them.
All right.
And, respect from nobles is good, but respect from the commoners who you're probably lording it over is kind of important unless you want to get mugged in a street somewhere.
Absolutely. Big problem, muggings, noble muggings.
Well, yes. All right. So all nobles are expected to learn and maintain some martial talent, although there is no difference made between weapon skills, strategy, tactics, command, and logistics, although a moderate grounding in all is preferred and a master of them is particularly admired. But if you're just not personally set up to hit people with a stick or a sword, then you can become a capable of logistics, and that's considered martial training enough. No one's going to mock you.
Okay, fair enough. That's good. Yeah, I can see some. Interesting character ideas here already. Actually, from an RPG standpoint,
That's sort of what I was always looking at when I'm inventing these. But we can talk more about that later.
absolutely.
A crucial part of the dignity and education of one of the peerage is a knowledge of history, genealogy, and the concordate era forms of poetry, visual art, and plays. As I mentioned last month, it is common for noble families to sponsor a troupe of actors or a playwright.
Ah, brilliant. Okay, it's all coming together.
Yeah, I'm trying to make these connections again, like we did in episode 7. So, as mentioned in passing earlier, though it is rare for nobles to take positions within the Great Consociate administration of a lower station and accept the loss of noble rank in doing so, it is even rarer, but it does sometimes happen, that families are reduced in rank entirely by canonical decree, generally as a punishment. The reverse is possible. It is possible for individuals of titles who improve their rank. It just requires a combination of excellence in a particularly useful field, political acumen, powerful allies, and frequently marriage.
Ooh, okay.
A handful of commoners have been given noble rank over the years, and exactly 2 were given permission to have families to carry on those titles. All of these circumstances have been extraordinary and remain controversial to this day.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. I like that very much.
Definitely room for some fun stories there. I'm sort of hoping maybe you might come up with one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, but that's it. That's all I have on nobles. Ooh. I say all. That was a lot.
That was a lot. I really enjoyed that quite a bit. My contribution today, Aaron, is not about nobles at all. Oh, good. Actually, I don't have anything written about nobles or ranks, except I do have a thing about various military ranks that I started writing but never finished because military ranks bore me. So I'm not going to be talking about that. Today I'm going to be talking about the Celestial Pantheon.
Oh.
So this is something that we've talked quite a bit on and off throughout our episodes. Gods, they're important, especially in episode 7. Was it 7?
Yeah,
that's right. It was episode 7 where we talked about sort of the mechanics of becoming a god, and things to that effect, how the realm of magic kind of works to assert particular archetypes.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk today about a collection of gods. They're not the only gods that exist. There are other gods, but sort of the interpretations and worship of them do vary. The Celestial Pantheon. That gods exist is a truism for our world, but the veneration of the gods as well as their relationships to one another varies from culture to culture. Today we will explore the Pantheon of the 12, the most widely worshipped heavenly association. They are recognized both in the Great Consociate Empire as well as the Unfettered League, although each society treats them quite differently. The Consociate holds that one day there will be 33 gods in the Pantheon, with great heroes and wise scholars ascending in the near future. Some already are being worshipped in Consociate folk religion. The League has a more distant relationship with the 12, and although the various members of the Pantheon are venerated according to local custom, they are not all considered to be necessarily good or even useful.
Right.
We will look at the Pantheon through the lens of the Great Consociate, which holds the most consistent perspective on all of Delmarin. I'm going to start with Gruvold. We know about Gruvold by now. He's the legendary first and only emperor of the Great Consociate. He is known as the god of orcs, soldiers, and monks. He is venerated with offerings of fruit and sweet incense on the traditional Ghost Festival days, as well as end-of-year celebrations when it is not unusual for small village choirs to move from house to house, leaving gifts and singing songs of Gruvold's deeds. And Gruvoli. Which episode was that? It's impossible to work it out. Gruvoli, the holiday that Aaron made up, which was really, really good. I really enjoyed that. There are two gods that I believe I mentioned in passing, Corendus and Heligla, but I didn't give them much of a background. So after Gruvold, I'm going to go through the rest of the Pantheon of the 12 and just give short descriptions of who they are, where they come from, what their domains are,
Fantastic.
That kind of thing. So after Gruvold, we have Corendus. Corendus is the beetle-headed god representing unity with the natural world, ascending long ago from among the tribes of the far north. Corendus is venerated on New Year days, harvest days, and hunts. He is associated with the cycle of life and death, as well as the complex, incomprehensible order of the natural world. It is unclear which particular species Corendus hails from, and some scholars posit he may well be a composite of several local deities. Heligla. Heligla, an elf, was once the Consociate's most important goddess and is widely held to be the oldest. She is credited with the building of the first roads upon the island of Lumara and is now associated with urban order. She is the goddess of engineers, city planners, as well as judges and lawmakers. It is said that she found Lumara assembled from wood, but left it fashioned from stone.
I like that sound. That's a fun little catchphrase, I suppose.
It's a good catchphrase. We have a similar catchphrase in Poland, actually, as one of our early kings found Poland made of wood and left it made of brick. So that's, I thought,
it's a great inspiration.
It's a good inspiration. Next, we have Brovold. Brovold is the god of beauty, great physical feats, and strength. In life, he was a Goliath of great size, once said to have lifted up a bathhouse and thrown it into a volcano when its proprietors tried to charge him for a towel. He can be found in the Celestial Gymnasium and gives power to all those who try to better themselves physically.
Bro.
Vold.
Okay.
Gengolof. Gengolof is a human god known as the Great Scaletipper and is the god of luck. He is worshipped by gamblers, barber surgeons, and military tacticians. It is said every time a die is cast, the gaze of Gengolof lingers upon the mortal world. Gengolof is opposed to the concepts of fairness, justice, and loyalty, and he is praised as often as he is cursed. Burak. Burak is the beetroot god of the plains people of the southern forests, long ago subsumed by the Great Consociate. He is depicted as a particularly tall and thin orc, red of skin, with roots emerging from his flesh. He is associated with farming, neighbourliness, and trust. He is venerated by the making and consumption of beetroot soup on many holy days. Burak's Heliakon is a recent and controversial culinary invention.
Because it's vegetarian?
Because it's vegetarian.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, it'll be all right, I think.
Yeah.
I think vegetarians are people too,
Yeah.
of a sort. That's official. That's our official podcast stance. Vegetarians are people. Goral. Goral is the god of hills and high places, a halfling deity often worshipped by hikers, rangers, forest folk, and explorers. Goral is strongly associated with the colour blue, for rivers and creeks are vital to mountain life, as well as the wind and rain. Over time, he has become more broadly venerated as a god of travel. Shrines to Goral are often found by the roadside, larger ones a common sight at the foot of almost any hill or mountain in the Consociate.
Right, I like that. Sort of the crossroads god.
Crossroads god, yeah. Urganok. Urganok is the dragon-born goddess of the oceans. She is worshipped by sailors, pirates, fisherfolk, and almost anyone else who plies the seas for coin. It is said she of all gods is closest to the mortal world, residing beneath the waves at the heart of a powerful underwater empire. It is true that there are people of a sort who dwell in the seas, but they are strange and ancient creatures and do not associate with land dwellers. Nevertheless, Urganok takes care of all her children who choose to make a life upon the oceans. Next we have Agatha. Agatha is the Aasimar goddess of conquest. You know, we don't talk about the Aasimar or the Aasimar. I don't know how we pronounce it actually in Dungeons and Dragons.
I don't think there's a really consistent theme, and nor should there be. It's the tiefling-tiefling thing.
It's a tiefling-tiefling thing. I just thought we don't do a lot with Aasimar, and I don't think I ever have, but I sort of looked at them, and especially in the new edition, they're sort of like angelic-themed people. They're not really angels, and then I think it's only at like level 12 do they get some kind of ethereal wings or something.
Given our connection between people and our magic / land of the world of the gods, there's actually a pretty some interesting ideas around the Aasimar, which I wish we had more time to explore.
But we don't. Anyway, so Agatha is the Aasimar goddess of conquest and the right of empires. She is worshipped by nobles, monarchs, and bureaucrats, and is seen as a divine justifier of imperialism, colonialism, and the cultural superiority of the conqueror. Every city, town, and village in the Consociate has a shrine or temple to Agatha, and her priests tend to have strong connections with government organizations.
Definitely lawful evil.
Definitely. Ogorok. Ogorok is the deity of medicine, closely associated with herbs and medical alchemy. Their origins are unclear, but many stories cast them as a winged or bird-like humanoid, such as a Kenku or Aarakocra. Both of these are extraordinarily rare on Delmarin, and members of these races are often confused for emissaries of this deity of healing. They are worshipped by doctors, hedge witches, herbalists, and birdwatchers.
Of course.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I've got 2 left.
Oh, I'm absolutely fascinated. You should see me. I've got both my sort of elbows on the table. I'm just sort of watching.
He's got his elbows on the table.
Like a heathen.
Well, actually, technically, I have 3 because after this pantheon, I do have another bit about sort of a god. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, so the next one is Valagor. Valagor is the sometimes destructive giant god, often called the mountain toppler or hill pusher. Giants as a race are near mythical beings in the world, but the story of how Valagor helped destroy the World Eater Mountain and lay the foundations of Spiraxis is one of the founding myths of early Lumaran belief. He is worshipped by miners, pugilists, and labourers.
Right.
And finally, we come to Tartaranok. Tartaranok is the faceless goddess of magic, theft, and death. It is said that she drowned her sister, a nameless deity from before the Concordate era, in a pool of her own obsidian blood, and stole her featureless countenance. She is worshipped by wizards, sorcerers, thieves, moneylenders, morticians, and blood farmers.
Blood farmers.
Yeah, blood farmers. I don't know what a blood farmer is, but I thought I'd just put it in there.
Yep, nope, cool. I've definitely got some ideas already, actually.
Yeah, brilliant. So that's that is my bit about the Celestial Pantheon.
So that's the official 12.
That's the official 12. I have one more. Is this the time?
I think now's the time. Yeah, let's just rock on because I'm really interested and I see a gap and I see a way to fill it and I'm really curious as to who your 13th is.
Oh, my 13th is not, I don't think he's a gap filler, this one, but I think he is interesting. And this is actually, I wrote about, well, his name is Govstad the Baker.
Okay, yes, I love him already.
Govstad the Baker. And I actually wrote this bit, I think this was like the second thing that I ever wrote for Heliakon.
Really?
Yeah. So, he didn't really fit anywhere until I had written about the other gods. Mm-hmm. So I thought, okay. Govstad the Baker. Our world is one of cyclical change. Civilizations rise and fall, and even the gods rise to prominence and eventually die or are slain. The presence of divinity is not a disputed fact, but the number of gods as well as who counts as one are ideas up for debate. The people of the Great Consociate hold that there will one day be 33 gods, while those of the Unfettered League feel the Pantheon of the 12, which exists currently, is the full complement for this era. Other cultures dispute both theories. The gods of the Concordate are long gone, and over time most of their myths have faded, supplanted by stories of new deities who have risen to prominence. Over decades and centuries, the power the old gods held seeps from the world, and fledgling deities grab hold of it, ascending even higher. There is one figure which has bucked this trend, in recent ages at least, and that is Govstad the Baker. He is the only hero of the last age who ascended somehow to the divine pantheon, and no tales exist of his fall or death. Govstad is remembered still, and his meagre power does not appear to have diminished. He is not written about in any of the tomes of the sexier religions of the world, and is worshipped incidentally as a kind of folk deity. His province is kindness of any sort, and it is often said, as Govstad baked for the gods, so shall we... followed by some difficult but necessary task. It is often said that the gods were unimpressed by the baker's simple creations, and so he began to cook for the common people of the world, travelling to places of famine and poverty. Many peasant and citizen homes have small statuettes made of clay depicting a rotund man with a big hole in the middle. This comes from a story fundamental to the perception of this character, where he ran out of good flour and eggs, and his great sorceries failed him at last as he tried to feed the people of a certain city under siege. He was there for a full 6 months, but by the last month he was turning pieces of himself into ingredients to save the city. In the end, nothing was left of him, and he had at last baked the last of his essence into the great divine bread, which fed the thousands besieged until reinforcements arrived and liberated the city. From that time, he was worshipped widely by the poor and those on the fringes of society. Any act of kindness counts as a sacred act of worship for Govstad.
Right. And certainly a god of kindness and charity when the Concordate is falling and there's more of these refugees and so forth. I can absolutely see how this lesser god of charity and so forth might have survived the upheaval.
Yeah.
I really like that. I really like that.
But I think it's also an interesting one because his legend says that he baked all of himself into the divine bread. What's being worshipped? Is he still there? Is that, or perhaps it's just that idea of kindness and helping.
Or is it perhaps the job of some heroes to go and collect the various crumbs from divine bread and resurrect the god of kindness?
I like that a lot.
I'd do that.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
All right, love it. Okay. Well, my turn.
Your turn.
And I am, in fact, going to actually finally get to that noble family. It is, however, definitely now a lot more abbreviated than it was originally, so we don't go too long.
I think, you know what, I'm actually very good at editing, so every time you mention Fat Albert, Aaron, I'm going to cut it out.
Well, that shouldn't be too bloody hard then, should it?
I reckon we can shave about 7 minutes off this episode.
The Khedia O'zeenasea. The O'zeenasea can train...
I've been doing this the whole time too.
The O'zeenasea can trace their family line back to a single, semi-disgraced member of the Consociate Nobility, and one whose descendants had the good sense to join Gruvold during his unification of Lumara and the establishment of the Great Consociate. There are Khedia O'zeenasea across the entire empire, but we are interested today in those that reside in Heliakon. Khedia O'zeenasea is the matriarch of a small but expanding branch of the family. As a young woman, she fell in love with the dashing Imper Bartol Ferenc, and he with her. Though the match was initially considered unsuitable, it was eventually approved, and Khedia made the new O'zeenasea household in Heliakon. This was at the height and tail end of the war, and Imper Bartol was an officer in the army. They had 3 children, many years apart, but Bartol was then killed during the extended skirmishing that would be commemorated in the Bloody Avenue Agreement. Khedia O'zeenasea has been a senior high judge for many years with great influence amongst the nobles, the trust of the Heliakon Connachts, and a solid base of wealth. She is, however, growing frustrated with the interminable truce and applies pressure where she can to reignite the war with the League, the League that killed her love.
Absolutely, yeah.
She does have 3 children, and I'm going to talk about those. The eldest child seemed eager originally to join his father on the field of battle, but both the war and father being ended before, he could, changed his outlook completely. Now in his mid-30s, Khedia O'zeenasea is an idle rake whose only saving graces are in his charm, wit, and surprising erudition in philosophy and history.
Interesting.
I'm thinking he's a popular dinner guest, but not still looked down on.
Fair enough. Yeah. I like that.
Khedia, Kendall, the middle daughter, is married to a distant cousin and has 2 young children, has recently earned promotion to High Judge, and vacillates between accepting the grooming of her mother to be the next head of the O'zeenasea family in Heliakon, or to strike out somewhere new and be her own self.
Yeah, okay.
The baby of the family, Khedia Talia, has just turned 16 and is attending the military academy. She idolizes her father, as she was very young when he passed. She intends to live up to the hero that she always believed him to be, and her mother makes him out to be. But like many of her age, she has a youthful crush on Khedia O'zeenasea, the blood heir to the second Connacht.
The blood heir, Aaron. Yes. The blood heir.
Yeah.
All the way from episode 1?
Episode 1.
Oh, I knew this bastard would make a comeback somehow.
And I finally gave him a title. He's of the Khedia rank.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Which is a little unusual because it's normally the Khedia that become Connachts, but yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I like that very much, Aaron.
Cool. What else do you have for me, Chris?
That's it. That was
it. You did have a really nice, big, long, chunky bit. So.
I had a long, chunky bit, yeah.
No, I love it.
Yeah, I was thinking initially of letting you have a go and then me doing Govstad the Baker at the end, but I think this worked better.
I think it did too, honestly. All right. I have one really good idea already that I want to run with, and a secondary one about blood farmers. So I'm looking forward to our World War words.
I only have bad ideas, but I am also looking forward to World War words.
All right then. See you there.
See you there.
Papa, may we have World War words?
No, son. We've got World War words at home.
Yay!
Now we are.
BoJack Horseman. Mm-hmm. Do you think he has a human penis or a horse penis?
I have exactly no thoughts about that.
I think it's a good show that showcases depression in quite a realistic way, actually.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I just don't think about his genitals.
I think about the genitals of every person that I ever meet, including you right now.
That is your right, as long as you keep it on the inside of your cranium.
Yeah, I mean, where else would it go, man? All right, so we're in the World War words era.
World War words.
World War words. Yeah. We're here. We made it. I thought Aaron took a really long time, and I did not take as long a time. And now I feel like perhaps I didn't do enough work.
Whereas I don't. But we'll find out.
Aaron, can I start?
Yes.
Do you mind if I can start? Because I want to do one bit, and then I want you to do your bit, and then I want to do another bit.
Sure.
Because my starting bit is not very long.
Sure.
And this is about one of the characters that you introduced. So this is the eldest child of the O'zeenasea family.
Yes.
So this is about Khedia.
Yes.
Khedia O'zeenasea. So
The rake and wastrel, or possibly the wake and wastrel.
yes, absolutely. Khedia actually holds a secret, and one which may, in the near future, get him killed. Disillusioned of the nobility of war by the death of his father, Khedia O'zeenasea went looking for answers. How could such a good man have died if his cause had been righteous? How could the war have been ended so swiftly when it appeared the Consociate was on the verge of victory? Was the game between empires simply that, a game? Was he even a viable player? All these thoughts and feelings brought Khedia to the study of philosophy. Firstly, that of the Consociate, but soon he stumbled on ideas and perspectives foreign to his own. And it is at this time that Khedia became a secret luminarchist. Still, he doesn't really know what to do with these notions in a practical sense. He is not inspired at this point to give up his noble title and make a mark on the world as some kind of adventurer or travelling academic. He is far too comfortable. Nevertheless, friends he has made both in the Consociate and the League urge him often to action. He, from a privileged seat of power, is actually someone who could make a difference. His newfound appreciation of luminarchy, but also a deeper understanding of the mechanisms of control and oppression, are ideas which can propel him forward in the movement. Many feel he just requires the right push, but what that may be remains right now a mystery.
All right. Do you think this organization of people that he's now sort of speaking with, sort of I can imagine it's like a loose network of... I'm being a little disingenuous here because I'm thinking of something I'm going to bring up in the next episode.
That's
so
okay.
I tell you what, actually, you know what? Let's just put a pin in Corral for the moment.
Okay, we're putting a pin in.
I really love your idea because I think it's going to connect to something in episode 11.
Okay, that's interesting. In episode 11, okay.
Yeah.
The one we're doing right after this one?
The one we're doing right after this one.
That's very interesting. I like that. Look, I was thinking about this, and this could go in a variety of directions. So, yeah, I suppose.
I really like where you've taken him. I just sort of tossed him out there as a, as a rake, as the disappointing elder son sort of thing. But I really like the idea of him going searching for answers and finding answers, and it's changing his paradigm, but he's not yet had the nudge to do anything major with it.
That's right. And I mean, I think I get what you're getting at is like who is whispering into his ear. Yeah, in that context. And could really be anyone, because like when you start talking about unpopular philosophies, you can get to some very interesting places, as I found out when I was on the internet in the 1990s, and I was also looking for answers about, how the world works and all of that, and a lot of anarchists encouraging you to make a lot of explosives on the internet, turns out. But I didn't do it.
Good, I know.
I was too comfortable.
Yeah.
No one gave me the right push.
Well, perhaps he's definitely a waiting plot hook / thread.
Yeah.
Someone to
I like doing that. I like plot hooks and plot threads for the future.
As do I. And I really do think, I don't want to say too much more.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I've got a nice larger section on the gods, or rather a newish god.
Ooh,
Kind of.
Is this a new one, or is this one we've talked about before?
It is a new one, but it's a character that we've actually sort of had in the story.
Ooh, okay.
Now, regular listeners will recognize that when I do the some of the intros, I have an unnamed character. The flaws of Heliakon, and we will do this and do that, and look at that. It's a very interesting thing.
Ooh, I call him Dark Aaron.
Yeah, well, he's going to have a name now.
Is it Dark Aaron?
It's not Dark Aaron. All right, let me tell you about the reluctant godling.
Okay, all right.
Geron Folly was born on the road from Heliakon in the days of the collapse of the Concordate to a poor family of refugees. They hadn't always been poor. They once had wealth, comfort, and prestige, as his parents were once respected members of the greatest academy in the entire Old Empire. Though he never experienced this for himself, his young life was filled with tales of this time and a romanticized version of life in learning. His family never came close to restoring their old fortunes, as the world was far too desperate and focused on survival to be able to focus on study in the time. Geron resolved to change this. He left home in an overcrowded town, long forgotten by history, to search out great teachers and learn from them, show the world that their biggest error was in casting aside higher education and the search for secrets of the world, and recreate the great learning institutions of the Concordate. It was an impossible task, one fit for a hero, and Geron was well aware of this. In fact, his family name had never been Folly. It is from this time in his life that he took the name from the criticisms of those around him, very much including his family, who feared his mad dream would sully what they saw as their legacy. Geron travelled across Delmarin and beyond, finding teachers, caches of books and old libraries, discovering new truths just by the virtue of his own vast and growing intellectual capacity and store of knowledge. He faced many difficulties, but was always able to reason a solution, often saving or aiding people all along the way. Soon, his fame began to grow. He became known as the world's preeminent scholar, the wisest man there was, and privy to the secrets of the gods. This latter point would be true. Geron Folly became aware of the nature of the gods and how they become that way. It was with creeping horror that he slowly became aware that he was quite along the ways with that process himself.
I see.
That his genius was being augmented by this proto-god vortex, that it itself was throwing challenges in his path to encourage his growth and his legend. Geron wrestled with this for a time. After all, surely becoming a god would be a magnificent thing. But it does mean having one's self subsumed by this collection of ideas and, worse, expectations. Geron very much likes the idea of immortality, but losing himself and becoming subject to the whims of the masses of these ignorant fools that fill the world around him was more than just galling. It was unacceptable. So he has worked nation-sized slow miracles and rituals to tie his flesh to that proto-god, that vortex of energy, and has redirected some of it into his body, which has successfully kept him alive now for centuries, although not exactly hale or hearty. Geron has worked to change his legend, not just as the wisest person, a hero of knowledge and education, but also one of secrets, a holder of things that ought not to be known. And through this change in his legend, the proto-god vortex has pushed many of these dangerous ideas into his path. He needs them, for the realm of the gods calls louder and louder and stronger every year. He knows that if he were to die today, he would become one with it and birth the new god of knowledge, education, and secrets. He doesn't want this. He wants to have the power without the responsibility. And he will do anything he can to stay as he is, and that is Geron's true folly.
I like that a lot, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that works. Yeah, that's fantastic.
That was not in my head when I was using the voice. I didn't really have much in the idea in my head for that character at all, really. It was just a fun way of talking. But as you were going through the various gods, I was like, oh, I have an idea. Oh, I have a terrible idea.
It's really good. I'm going to keep calling him Dark Aaron, though.
Not Geron Folly?
Geron Folly. That's really good, too. No, that's fantastic. Yeah, it's a really good addition, man.
Yeah. I like the idea of a guy who knows that this is how gods are made. He's like, nope. I like the idea of being neat and cool and powerful, but no, you don't get to make me a god.
Yeah, and that's something that we talked about in that episode 7, right? Like that's one of the things like that I identified as that would be my greatest fear: some kind of complete personality death, and then an ascension of something that is you or a version of you, but is it you?
Yeah,
that's a hard. I think that's a hard pill to swallow.
I think that was what was in my head when you were talking about the gods, and this idea all sort of coalesced together. I think it's a fun idea, and he'd be a really interesting like giver of quests when you start to realize that the person who's helping you and guiding you is actually just a selfish asshole who could be making the world a better place. What is this world without a god of education and knowledge?
Well, it's literally this world.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. It's very upsetting, but I like that. Yeah, I like it. I think it fits our world, and yeah, definitely if we were playing or when we eventually play in this setting, I would like to run into this individual.
Yeah.
No metagaming, Aaron.
Sure.
All right, let's go with my contribution. So this is my contribution here. I really enjoyed all your stuff about the different ranks. It's really good. The thing that sort of sparked a bit of inspiration in me was when some of the Khedia, they take on lower roles or reductions in rank, and when they become drains on the family, they might be given a sum of money to sort of leave, to bugger off and leave. So I sort of just wrote about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is a fairly modern concept which comes with living in the greatest age of peace and prosperity in history, something the Consociate loves pointing out to anyone who will listen. In this way, the young and talented Khedia are symbolically imparted on the common society, lending much-needed wisdom and nobility to the rest of the population. After all, there are so many of these noble-born sons and daughters just waiting to realize their potential. They can be leaders of men, advisors, adventurers, and liaisons between the higher ranks of society and the lower. The idea is sold to the nobles and peasants alike as the self-sacrificial grant of the heart, that taking a sum of money and being released into the world is an honourable pathway for talents which would otherwise lay dormant. The reality is, of course, quite different. There may not be much of a choice in the matter, and many smaller noble families have been forced to undertake the grant of the heart and untether their children from their lineage as a result of debt, both monetary and social. The Khedia, who are thrust out into the wide and dangerous world in this way, often find themselves in untenable and dangerous circumstances. They are no longer afforded any great respect by the nobility of the Consociate and are looked down upon by the common folk sort of with a mixture of mistrust and hatred. Those less savvy may find themselves pressed into indentured servitude or made into scapegoats by one criminal enterprise or another. And unfortunately, the noble sons and daughters of these families are given very little education or direction in what their future lives might look like. Another old concordate term is used for them, though this one in derision. It is kendik, same in singular and plural, and refers to goods traded in good faith which turn out to hold some fundamental fault, but with the implication that the time to raise a complaint or indeed return the item is long past.
Okay, I really like all of that. I don't want to change anything. I would say, as part of what you were talking at the beginning, that the Great Consociate is sort of trying to sell to their people the idea that these wandering noble adventurers or former noble adventurers are a positive thing to society. I would say that there's a number of plays and stories about like
there would be, absolutely.
Maybe even a single character who is representative of them, and like Wolf and Cub. There's a lot of different movies in that sort of thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
That there's one character who's meant to represent all these. And he does it well, and it's always, he's humble and he's learning new things, but he always gives nobility and grace to the others. And I think that would be a part of that propaganda. It's also just a way of trying to smooth their landing in society. Yeah,
I like that, and this kind of character I see would have this easy way of talking with the common folk, and that would be seen as like, wow, he used to be one of them, but now he's one of us, type of deal, and he would protect them against the bad nobles, the ones I mean, Yeah, I see that.
I like that, and it's only of limited effect because everybody knows it's just a story, but it's still part of their culture. So if you wanted to play a hero, like a player character who is one of these, were you inspired by that character when you go into a town and you say, yes, hi, I'm the ex-Khedia, so and so. I'm now what do you call them? Something of the heart.
The grant of the heart.
Yes, I've taken the grant of the heart, and I'm here to bits and pieces, and they're fully expecting something like from the plays because they're a little bit sheltered. Okay, they're very sheltered.
Yeah,
and having to discover the realities of like, oh no, we know we love the stories, mate, but like our experience with nobles largely involves a riding crop about the back upside the head.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
cool,
works.
Brilliant.
That's my only contribution today.
All right. Well, I would like to talk a bit about the blood farmers.
Oh yeah, blood farmers.
Because I know you just tossed it out there as a fun pair of words. But
It's fun.
No denial. But the thing is, I think it fits really well into something as part of our magic system. So before the use of wraith quartz was discovered and refined, then blood, flesh, and sacrifice was the most common source of magical power. Many mages sourced it for themselves, but greater nations and groups couldn't afford to leave such a vital resource to chance. And out of this need grew the profession of blood farming and the Guild of Cruors. That cool word, Cruor, is just for gore and things.
Yeah, I like it.
So a Cruor would keep a stable of animals and people on hand and ready to be used for whatever magics might be needed. For a fee, of course. Slaves were the vast majority, although a few desperate people might sell themselves, or perhaps others, to a Cruor in desperate times for their family, as voluntary sacrifices were said to have greater power. Naturally, the rise of Gruvold and his abolishment of slavery made the Cruor's livelihood largely illegal, and the Unfettered League has a specific law against them. This has driven the Guild of Cruors into the underworld, or to nations and lands outside these two powers. But wraith quartz is expensive, and finding osmotes very much has its own challenges, so there's still plenty of magic users who seek them out. Their practices have only made them crueler since their fall from grace.
Wow, I like that a lot, man.
Yeah.
I want to play as one of these guys.
Well, I hope you're playing in an evil campaign then.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's every campaign I'm in.
Yeah, that is a little bit true. Yeah.
That's good, man.
All right. Yeah. No, we had some.
Did we do it?
I think we did it again.
Done it.
I mean, this is a relatively short World War words, but we had quite a chunky table fodder. So how about we just do a little ruminating in our jump into conclusions?
Let's jump to conclusions.
Papa, may we have jumping to conclusions?
Yeah. No. Details. I really did go into a lot of detail. I cut out a bunch of detail, even when I was talking about the noble ranks. But I think they're all useful. They're defining things. I don't think they're too limiting. And I wanted to do something that didn't just use dukes, earls, counts, etc.
I know that you made reference to my lonesome Mythtakes when I was talking about excess detail, but I don't think I was talking about what you're doing, right? So I'm part of a lot of like world building forums and things. I know you don't understand how the internet works, but it's like being in a room with lots of other people, but they're not actually there with you physically.
Neat.
Okay. So something that I notice a lot of, especially a lot of younger people, like to define sort of every aspect of their world, and they become very frustrated at some point. And they become very frustrated because they don't have the knowledge base to define every single part of their world. They don't understand plate tectonics. They don't understand how volcanoes work. And I'm okay with that. I don't understand that either. But I think they think that to make a world that you can then write in or play in or something like that, that you do have to do that. That you have to create a world that is as filled with detail as the real world, or at the very least that if someone asks you, well, okay, you know how in the real world, you know, the sands from the Sahara Desert, you know, they symbiotic relationship with the Amazon rainforest. How does that work in your world? And if you don't have an answer for that, you're a failure.
Right.
So I guess my point is that, like, you're not a failure if you don't have those answers, unless this is a particularly relevant detail to the story you're trying to tell, which could well be. Then any detail that doesn't actually serve your story or serve a potential for a story in there is, I mean, it's superfluous, isn't it?
Yeah. There's one of my favourite Terry Pratchett novels is his Tiffany Aching series.
Oh, I love that, yeah.
And in the first Tiffany Aching book, she goes into the land of the fairies.
I remember that one, yeah.
And it's all covered in snow and, you know, trees and bits and pieces. And there's a really great moment where she realises that what's upsetting her about the landscape is that it only seems to be sort of sketched in unless she starts paying attention to it, and then it starts to get more detail. She brushes the snow away from the base of a tree and it's just sort of brown until she pays attention to it, and suddenly it becomes detailed. It gets wood grain and dirt and so forth. That the world is sort of drawing itself as she pays attention to it. And in many ways, that is kind of how a story setting needs to be. If your story is going to be set in Heliakon, you don't need to do much about the island of Lumara. It just needs to be sort of sketched in, because it's never going to come on the page or on the screen or around the table.
Yeah, and also then you have to look at how you are as a consumer of media that you also use in things. So like if you are a role player and you look at a role-playing book, some of these things, I don't know if you know this, Aaron, but some of these things are over 100 pages. Some of them might even be 300 pages. No one has time to read that. Yeah. Anyway, that's not true. Like no one's ever read a full role-playing book. This is impossible. Anyway,
all the time.
But what I'm saying is, right, like there are things there that you can skim over and are not as interesting to you as other things, right? And because what you can be is you can be a discerning consumer of that information, right? And you know what you like, so I will automatically go into character creation straight away, for example, or I'll see what archetypes there are in a role-playing book, or I'll go and look at how damage works because I want to know how easy it is to kill someone, because those are the things that interest me the most. Whereas someone else might be looking at other sections of it, like they might be looking at the interpersonal relationships, or I know a lot of younger people are very concerned with social justice. So a lot of role-playing games these days will talk about, gender roles and things like pronouns and things like that, which a lot of older people just kind of roll their eyes at. But I think is good because that is what people want. They want to know about those things that are important to them as reflected in a book, right? Yeah. So that's where they would go and stuff like that. So you don't. I think you don't even have to. If you find yourself looking at every single thing in a production like that, it's good. I mean, it's good if you retain it and it's interesting to you, but you don't have to.
Yeah. There is detail for different people. I personally prefer having a little too much because, as you say, somebody can simply discern for themselves. I picked up this book. I'm interested in 70% of it. Then, I'm spending $100 on $70 worth of material, but that's actually a pretty good bargain in this day and age.
That's actually not bad at all.
Whereas, I mean, someone like myself, who I do love all that stuff. I mean, when it comes to detail in role-playing games, I still think the 4th edition Shadowrun is the gold standard.
It's so big.
It's so big, and I love it. They've got an entire supplement just on different fashion.
I honestly bought that book and I started reading it and I never finished it because there was just so much stuff in there. And I think that I am less into role-playing systems that are as, I don't know, esoteric as that one.
Well, the great thing about... No, I'm not going to keep talking about Saturday. What I want to get into, though, is not every game has to have a supplement on fashion.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if you do have a supplement on fashion, then you will... the people who are interested in that will go and buy it, and there will be those sorts of people.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed... what was it? Was this second edition... Was this second edition Warhammer Fantasy roleplay? Or... Yeah, it must have been, I think. And they had, like, very... small, short hardcover supplements about little things like armor and stuff like that. And I always thought that's really great because you can go and pick it up for $30 or something, and you can read it if you're interested. And you're not interested in it, someone else will pick it up, and
I love those very specific deep dives. And indeed, it's something that we might want to look into for future seasons. I think one of the most fun I've had this season was our episode on propaganda. It took my mind.
Yes, I enjoyed it very much.
It was very focused, and it brought up some really interesting ideas. And that, once again, it comes back to some of the ideas we've been playing since the very beginning. Of once you put yourself, you put a box up, walls up, you feel like, yes, I'm more restricted, but suddenly you become more creative.
Yeah, no, I agree, definitely. We've got to have that framework, those structures, so that we can see, well, where are the edges of what we're building. Otherwise, it can be too wishy-washy, I think.
And I think when you can imagine everything and anything, then you tend not to imagine much at all because the human mind isn't very good with infinites.
No, not even high numbers. Like over 1,000, a lot of people are really lost.
Look, as far as I start running out of fingers and toes, I start getting a bit confused. But
That's why I've got the extra toes.
that's why I wear thongs, you see.
For our non-Australians, is thongs. He means it's a shoe.
Flip-flop, yes.
It's not a panty.
Underwear, no.
It's not a panty.
Important difference. I'm glad you caught that. I'd hate people think that I was wearing underwear on my feet.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's awful. Oh my God, is that it? Have we done it?
I don't know. Do we want to talk more about sort of the role of gods? You've dramatically increased our number of gods.
Did you say dramatically?
I did. I was hoping you'd ignore it, but you didn't.
Do you know how many times you when I edit our videos and you just insert an extra letter into words? It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I like it. I think it's funny.
I spoonerize a lot. I genuinely take a bit of effort to not spoonerize. I do it partially just accidentally, but also partially for fun. It's playing with language.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I added in the Pantheon of the 12. I think it will serve us quite well in the future in some practical sense.
I makes me want to consider the religion and what that actually looks like, how that it works. But we've a little bit run out of time for that.
I think we have.
So, nevertheless, I think we've made a good recording there for our jumping to conclusions. We should probably talk ourselves out. Hey,
we'll do it. Thank you very much for listening. If you look at the description for this episode, you'll find a supplementary material link as well as a link to Aaron's website if you need a dungeon master in Adelaide. It is a real job, and Aaron will do it for money that he needs to buy new shoes.
Yeah, flip-flops.
Flip-flops.
Not underwear.
Not underwear for his feet.
No, I don't want it.
Although he will show you his feet for money. Probably. Would you? Yeah. Come on.
I must admit, really.
Don't be a prude. Okay.
Yes, I will. All right.
Yeah. Okay. He's definitely gonna do it. And as well as there should be some trigger warnings there if anything that we spoke about was triggering to you. I tried to get Aaron to sort of look at that because I'm not very good at trigger warnings because I'm so brave and special and I've never been afraid.
That is also a lie, by the way. But yes, hit us up if there are topics that we're missing in their regard. We want everybody to enjoy the experience. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.